Welcome back to Fire Emblem, the Sacred Stones. Last time we acquired our last hope, the Sacred Stone of Ralston, and now we're not quite going to head off to the final battle because there's some things that I want to do first. So after clearing Chapter 19, we unlock quite a few locations from the world map. That one I'll be talking about first, but it's not what I'm going to be talking about for the main meat of this video. There's our next story destination. Okay, good, something actually did spawn up here. So this is the main thing that I want to be showing off at this point. The Melkaean Coast. It's a map location that you never have a chapter at, but it is a skirmish location. This was probably where Erica was intended to land if her trip to Ralston had gone as planned earlier in the plot, but of course she was forced to take a detour through Johanna instead. But yes, this is actually a map location. It's weird they'd put one in that's never used for a chapter, but it's kind of special when it comes to skirmishes, which I'll talk about when I get in there. But first, there's this place, the Lagdo Ruins. This is like a late-game counterpart to the Tower of Valmy. It's even longer than the tower. It's several floors of straight monsters. Oh right, something that I should mention here is the world map theme is different now. The third world map theme you don't get to hear for very long. It's really just for these two chapters and Ralston Court. We now have the pre-final chapter one. Anyway though, back to what I was saying. The Lagdo Ruins. This isn't technically a post-game area because you can do it now. However, it is designed for an endgame level party. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to be showing the Lagdo Ruins after I've done the main storyline. It's not anywhere near Thabe's Labyrinth levels or ridiculously harder than the main story, but it is best taken on with an endgame team. And also, the main rewards you get out of it only apply to the post-game. Although, admittedly, the first floor of this place is quite good for making a lot of money quickly, because a lot of the enemies drop very good items, which you can sell for good money. Firstly, though, I want to go ahead and go to the Melkaean Coast, because if I show anything else now, I run the risk of this monster encounter disappearing, so I want to keep that here. Now, this is going to be a bit weird, because I'm going to be kind of unable to practice this. I don't really know what will happen, because this is a skirmish. Guess this is the first time I've fully shown a skirmish on camera. This could potentially have Fog of War. Again, it is random. Let me check. No Fog of War this time. Okay, last time I tried this, there was Fog. But as you can see, all the monsters here are promoted. And at fairly high levels, too. Like, they're around level 13 to 15. They've also got pretty strong weapons. Now, these monsters are actually kind of stronger than we're expected to be fighting at this point in the game, but they give some very good items. There'll usually be a lot of rare weapons or items that'll be dropped in this chapter. There's a stealable pure water for some reason. Oh yeah, these, remember I mentioned promoted spiders earlier? That's what these are, Elder Bales. They've got a lot of strength, as you can see. Oh great, a stone Gorgon. Yeah, I expect to be seeing Gorgons here too. So yeah, Guiding Ring. The gimmick with the Melkaean Coast is, the enemies here will often have rare items that are droppable. So it's kind of like a bit of a bonus area to get yourself some rare items. Also some Archmoguls. Very, very strong Archmoguls too. With Crimson Eye, which is pretty painful. Funny thing, in Japanese, this spell was called Bloody Eye. They probably changed it to avoid any accusations of swearing in the European version. Also, this is what the promoted form of Maldugs look like, Gwilgi. They're actually called Cerberus in the Japanese version. That explains why they have 3 heads. I forget exactly where Gwilgi comes from, but all of them have Hell Fangs instead of Fiery Fangs, which are a bit stronger. Oh, die with the Devil Axe, that's kind of scary. And yeah, we've seen Malduins before. They're pretty much just promoted Tarvos. And a Cyclops down here. Cyclops don't have a promotion, they're counted as a promotion class in and of themselves, which, something that I've never mentioned before, but probably should have been obvious, you can tell if a class counts as promoted, because its generic enemy portrait has a gold border around it. But yeah, there are a lot of strong weapons here, both droppable and not droppable. And a lot of monsters. This is obviously going to be a route mission, and there are a lot of enemies. Now, I don't want my team getting too over-leveled here, so let's see who I pick. Ephraim is actually not compulsory, so I don't really need him. Garrick is a little bit behind. Let's see in terms of our levels. We're all around level 8-ish. I'm definitely not bringing Cormag because he's a bit too strong. Definitely going to bring Ewan because he's a bit behind. I might as well bring Mia. We can only bring 9 people. Okay, Garrick is kind of behind. I guess people who aren't level 8 are a priority to not bring. Natasha's Slayer skill will see a lot of use here, I guess. Can bring Teddies. And let's see who else I could bring. This might end up being kind of tough, and everyone who goes here is probably going to be pretty heavily inflated in terms of levels. But we'll see how this goes, I guess. Maybe to sell. Now, it's not really going to be that high of a priority to conserve my weapons here, because I didn't get to show this before, but Rowsome Court sells a lot of very valuable items. I think loot's fine on staff. She could probably use a new staff, though. Although I do have quite a few healers here. Don't need the torch staves at all, though. We can get rid of those. I have Restore. Might as well grab Restore, because there are some poisonous spiders here. Ewan, I think, is fine on weapons. And Erica needs to put these two in the convoy, because they're not going to be useful for the rest of the whole main story. We have a lot of archers around that part of the map. We've got a lot of whites in general, actually. Do have to watch out for Mia, because the enemies here are especially the archers, actually. But they're all the kind of enemies that can potentially kill her if you're not careful, thanks to their pretty decent speed and her pretty awful speed. Okay, I think I'll go with this. Yeah, I think I will go with this setup. So I'm just going to save here just in case anything bad happens, which it easily could, because this is probably more difficult than Chapter 20, this map, just as a heads up, but I wanted to show it anyway. Okay, let's go. And this gets Truth to Spirit Hope. Wow, exactly 50 enemies, too. So these spiders are going to be slowly climbing their way through that mountain. Now, Natasha, let's see. Yeah, so here is the true power of Slayer, although Luke kind of needs to experience more. That's 1 HP off. Guess I have to use Natasha, or I could go for Ewan, maybe. Nosferatu may end up being useful here. Ewan can't even do it, but I guess I'll go for the attack anyway. Funny thing that I've seen when testing out this map is that, for some reason, enemies that can't normally traverse them, because these thickets are normally totally impassable. As you can see, the whites can't walk on them. But sometimes a white will spawn on one of the thickets. So, kind of a bit of an error there, I guess. Suppose I could go for this. 34 hit rate when you're on a forest is actually kind of potentially bad. Oh yeah, another thing. The enemies here give a lot of experience, so this is, in some ways, this game's Peninsula of power leveling. I mean, if the Tower of Valny already didn't serve that purpose. But bonus points for this being an actual peninsula, or at least I think it's a peninsula. I'm not entirely sure what the full definition of a peninsula is, but I think this probably, that's exactly enough. Let's do that. Probably fits the requirements. I mean, that's a TV trope, but for those who don't know where that comes from, it's from Final Fantasy 1, I believe. It's a little peninsula on the world map that is a perfect level up, because you can't gain con on level up, so that's good. Garrick is redeeming himself. But yeah, it's a little part of the world map that was coded as having the random encounter data from a later area in the game, but you can access it very, very early, so people abuse that area for grinding, and despite it being a bug, they've kept it in all later releases of the game, because people just... It's pretty much so well known at this point. Now, Mia can fly over that mountain. The problem is, I don't like those archers. Something to also be careful of when you've got Mia here, especially if there's Fog of War. These Bone Walkers can occasionally spawn with Worm Slayers, and they're not just effective against wyverns, they apply to actual dragons as well. Something that wasn't relevant back in FE7, but is definitely relevant now. Although I believe... I think the Worm Slayer was obtainable normally in FE7. I know that the Dragon Axe was event exclusive, but I think the Worm Slayer itself was in FE7. Oh, no one can even get to this wood spot anyway. And this is Joshua's support range too. What's her rank? I don't think she's anywhere near being able to use Aura, even though that would weigh her down ridiculously. I mean, it's not quite as bad as the one in FE4 for Julia. Well, there's a Bishop Critical. I think it was Aura, at least. It was either that or the... You basically had the choice of that or Nosferatu based on which castle you captured. And Aura was the completely wrong choice because it weighed her down to an enormous extent, whereas Nosferatu was actually pretty good. Of course, in that game, weight didn't discriminate based on con at all. Don't think it did in FE5 either. I mean, FE5 introduced the concept of the con stat, but I think in that game, magic always weighed you down for the full amount, regardless of what your constitution was. Which was called build in that game, but anyway. By the way, expect me to be going on a lot of tangents here. Because this chapter is just a basic route map against a lot of monsters. There's not really all that much to say. But, yeah, you can probably tell that I am showing off the true power of Slayer now. Getting some pretty great level ups, too. It's almost as if this place somehow boosts growth rates. It definitely doesn't, but I can dream. Okay, that guy has a rune sword. I'd like to boost loot up a little bit in levels. I kind of wish that Loot and Ewan were a support as well. I almost said Ute and Lewin. Actually, that sounds similar to the localized name of a certain awesome wind mage in FE4. Or a town from Tales of Symphonia that has a really, really obvious pun name on its fate. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to be going on a lot of tangents in this video. By the way, I have given Erica the light brand. I didn't show that in the preparations, but I often like giving the light brand to Erica. It just, I don't know, seems like it kind of works. Oh yeah, these spiders have massive, massive amounts of HP. You might be noticing that some of them have HP above 60. So 60 is actually the HP cap for playable characters, but enemies don't have an HP cap. Yeah, another case of AI cheating in the Fire Emblem universe, but... And what did I say about Worm Slayers? Yeah, you do have to be very, very careful of Mia. I'm fine with missing there. Because Mia getting doubled by a Worm Slayer is usually death. I guess I'm going to just stay here and let the enemies come to us. Good dodge there. We do have a lot of evasive terrain around this area. Things are going to get a little bit trickier once we start advancing into the higher regions of the map, and there is less terrain and also those moguls. And of course the Gwilgis are moving, and you're moving. And the Cyclops is moving. And there's a killer bow, which missed. Probably should have equipped a hand axe, but oh well. Didn't realize that thing could attack him. Okay, archers are incoming. This is where, and I got a lot of enemies around everywhere, actually. And that spider can get off of its mountain. And that spider has a sharp claw. Let me just test how much damage you do. You've got a lot of defense, too. 23 is a lot, but that's your base hit rate when I'm not even on a forest, so... I'm kind of confident that... I really want Joshua to go there. spider. I mean, she doesn't even double that spider. How much? 13 speed is not bad for you. So this part of the map is probably where I have to get a bit lucky with some dodges, and Natasha's almost capped her resistance, which is going to make her pretty effective against those moguls later on, and also probably the... she usually has more magic and speed by this point for me. She's getting very lopsided level ups in this playthrough, mostly towards resistance. Only a C rank, yeah, but you're nowhere near using aura. 71 crit though, wow. That's with an A support bonus, but still. Watch him not critical both of these. Okay, well, he crit one of them. Yeah, in the Japanese version, you can actually buy Shamshears from the secret shop in the previous chapter, but you can't in this one. Don't like the idea of Garrick taking straight up 20 damage there. Although, I don't think there's much risk of him getting attacked by anything else. Guess I can go for some crits here, possibly. Well, there's one crit, and this is what an Elder Bale looks like. Guess this color scheme might be slightly inspired by... Okay, nice double crit. Good, that's the main threat gone, but there are quite a few more of those Elder Bales. The color scheme might be inspired by certain animals that are brightly colored to warn things that they're poisonous. Though I don't think that Elder Bales really care about warning people about being poisonous. Yeah, so this is where Mia is actually pretty awesome. At least sometimes. Yeah, her low luck means she is quite susceptible to criticals. That's another thing that I forgot to mention about her earlier. I am actually going to pull back and retreat everyone a little bit. And obviously Mia needs to stay well away from those bows. She probably needs to stay well away from those spiders as well, because they've got some pretty good speed against her. Do any of you have armor? Well, that rune sword is probably not going to be good for Dissel. Okay, you have a hand axe. Right. Obviously want Teddies to stay away. Could do this though. And get Teddies another level up. Speaking of Teddies, a lot of people are debating on what weapon type she'd use if she ever got introduced to heroes. And this is why you have to watch out with Mia's low speed sometimes, as I was saying. Someone was saying axe. I don't really think that makes a lot of sense. Personally, I think she'd be a dagger dancer. It's a combination that we don't have yet, and I mean, if we can have a Manakete dancer, we might as well have a dagger dancer. Dagger slash shuriken slash whatever you want to call it, but I think that kind of makes sense with her personality and her background, and again, we don't have a dagger dancer, and we do have a Manakete dancer, so really anything is possible. You can't hit me, right? Good. If we can somehow get through this rush, we should be a lot better off. Probably gonna need to heal Garrick soon, though. And that would be a triple critical. He may not crit as often as Joshua does with a Killing Edge, but it at least means you get to see the awesome hero critical, and this is more like what I expect from Garrick. The Gwilgies have very high movement. They are pretty much monster swordmasters, except they're also kind of like cavalry in the way they move very far. Please double. Okay, there's the Sage critical animation. I've been waiting to show that one. I just really love how that looks and sounds as well. They kind of did a callback to it in Radiant Dawn's Sage critical animations. No speed there, but she's gained a little bit more speed than earlier. Ironically, the mage gets a rune sword. Please, archers, don't kill loot. You only have an iron bow. Like, Like I said, please don't kill Loot. I don't think the other archer is in range unless he has a longbow, but I'm still kind of worried. Yeah, Metis's tome is kind of working for Loot. This is pretty much what I expected from her for the most part. She needs to get out of there now, though. She is not taking on all those enemies plus the spider. So, I think we might have to do a bit of a change of... That's a killing edge, too. A bit of a change of... area here. 15 speed, that's actually kind of fun, although admittedly that is a Cyclops that's almost maxed out in terms of levels, so kind of makes sense. Okay, that spider's going to go off its mountain soon. I really, really want you to die, so I'm going to have to use Shamshir. Watch me once again, not crit. Oh, there we go. Still got this crit on the second hit, that's good. And there's the red gem. So, I need to... Do you have... Okay, you're poison. I need to heal both Garrick and Loot this turn. And that spider's going to go off its mountain, so... Whoever goes down there needs to be prepared for... Does Loot get one-shotted by... Not really. But yeah, 25 Magicka, it's only level 7 Sage. This is why I like Loot a lot. Oh, that's not... Yeah, if that was 33, it would have been exactly enough. Difference of Erica's legendary weapon versus all of her others. Like I said, I really need to heal Luke here. So even 50 damage won't be fully enough. And he will die if he gets hit by that, so obviously I can't go for that. Instead I'm going to hand axe from here. And yeah, because the HP bar goes in 2 bars of 40, you might think that 80 is the HP cap for enemies. It's actually not. The HP cap is something like 127. It's basically the maximum value that any stat can have in the game's code. So, enemies can actually go above 80, but you can't go above 60. The reason why this is important is because there's, I need to block you off, maybe? Oh, you don't double to sell. That's good to know. Like I said, though, I need to heal Loot. Or, if Decel goes there, I actually think that spider is blocked. Not attacking, obviously, but... Yeah, that spider can't really do much now. And Loot isn't really in danger anymore, so let's see how much damage you in 30 hit rate. Another 30 hit rate. He can only take a couple of hits though. And the spider can go all the way up to there, so these tiles are potentially in danger. There's also the Cyclops. What's your base hit rate? Oh, the hand axe is more accurate than the hammer, that's kind of funny. 88, and you guys have much more, so that's going to be less than 30. The problem with Nosferatu is that I don't double, and let me just see the hit rate change. Yeah, that's additional, much higher chance of hitting there. How much accuracy do you guys have on Erica? This is outside of the forest. 45, so in the forest. It's the Light Brand's 9, it is weighing her down by 2. But the Lancers could potentially get Weapon Triangle on her. Once I eliminate that, and then these two, Mia can easily take on these 3. I suppose I can just stand here and heal Garrick. It's just figuring out how to get past this initial rush of enemies, but once that's done, it's really not going to be, hopefully not going to be that bad. Let me just check on where the Gwilgies are. Yeah, because they do have 8 movement. They're effectively cavalry sword masters. And these guys are all... Okay, that Devil Axe guy is moving. The stats look pretty similar to the other one. I'm checking that because in the Lagdo Ruins, often bosses end up having drastically less stats than normal enemies because of the way that hard mode stat scaling works. So that can be pretty amusing sometimes. 19 times 2 isn't enough. Just don't know if I want to risk exposing Erica to a lot of things. Doesn't look like these enemies can really get all that far. The problem is, the less I take care of now, the more I'll have to worry about later. Oh, it says 73. Yeah, the enemies are kind of breaking the HP limits a little bit. Speaking of random tangents, that is the name of a skill back in FF10, which requires a huge amount of materials to customize onto things. Never really bothered with that much in the way of customization in that game, apart from making a fully Death Strike / Stone... Actually, no, yeah, I made a couple of Stone Strike weapons in that game, and I also made one... Okay, I need to get Teddy's out of there. I also made a capture weapon that had Death Strike on it as well, so that I could instantly capture enemies. Though I didn't really get that far in the Monster Arena capturing side quest. And this is a complete random tangent that's not really relevant to this at all, but might as well say that there was one... Okay, he doesn't get doubled, I'm fine. I was worried for a second. But yeah, there was... I remember... Don't know if any of you here will remember this. When I first got my TV capture device, I did a couple of test videos of course you get hit by that, of various just games that I had on hand at the time, and one of them was just me in the Omega Ruins in FF10, and I showed that to someone at my university, and he was just downright scathing about how much of a scrub I was, and saying like, oh, how did you even beat the final boss with that setup? Which was kind of irritating to have to deal with, but yeah. That spider though, I don't like that spider still being there. Also, need to use the non-one use weapons so that I actually double, and of course it doesn't matter because I have no luck and can't hit with an 84%. Which is, of course, around the 90s under true hit, so that's even worse. Also, okay, the Gwilgi is coming. Which has almost equal speed to Joshua. How much do you do? That much. And Joshua didn't even get any crits on that thing, I believe. 20, you are 24. You double Natasha as well. I'm going to have to be careful about getting flanked here. And also of Decel. Yeah, this could potentially go south. That thing should have been dead by now. And this isn't going to kill it. So both mages failed to kill something. I suppose... Okay, Garrick is mostly fully healed, so I feel pretty safe about him going here. I don't like having to do this, but I think a few of them have lances, and I don't like attacking a spear without weapon triangle advantage. Well, at least one enemy actually died this turn. Okay, that spider can escape from the mountain now, regardless of Decel's involvement. And it would be able to attack Erica there. kind of have to do this anyway. And yeah, I like the way that promoted Erica can just hold her sword up, like, directly up. Come to think of it, reminds me of a Skyward Strike. Speaking of random tangents that I can go on about... Yeah, I need to heal Joshua. Times 3 is 21, so I need 2 crits. I didn't get them. Of course you would hit twice with a 27 under true hit. Of course you would. I hope Physic will heal enough. I really hope Physic will heal enough. I mean, Natasha's magic stat isn't the best at this point. That was okay, but if you hit a 3rd time, that could be really, really disastrous if you hit a 3rd time. Oh no, you're in range of... Okay, so, let me just check this. Oh, you barely do anything to Mia. That is the real danger here, though. That spider. If that thing attacks Mia, if either of them attack Mia, we're kind of done. Kind of worried about Decel as well. Yeah, they're doing quite a bit of damage. And if I move Decel, then this other spider will be able to attack things. Kind of a shame that Tethys has to stay away from everyone else, because otherwise she could have refreshed someone like Garrick, and I could have tried to take out 2 things in this turn. Oh, that thing, I mean, it has been weakened, but Decel's not going to be able to finish it off. Okay, also you have a hammer, I just remembered that, so obviously Decel can't go into your direct range, otherwise he would be in for even more pain. I really, really don't like this situation. Yes, of course, it can attack Decel from there. Just gonna have to hope that things go well. I don't know, I probably could have planned this better. Please dodge. Good. Now, the good news is that they do seem to be magnetized to weaker defense characters with really, really high evasion, so let's just hope they can serve as decent enough lures. Gonna have to deal with that spider soon, too. And yeah, I am using the steel axe here because it raises the axe rank faster than iron axes would. And Garrick has enough speed, not speed, well, he does have enough speed, but he has enough con to use the steel axe without any penalties, which is a really, really good thing, because usually that's not the case for pretty much every other... Well, not every other axe user, but there are surprisingly quite a few characters who can use axes in this game who just don't have that high con. 2 consecutive level ups with just HP. That's pretty bad. Okay, this needs to miss too. Good. Now, either of these can miss, and I'm fine with that, because I'll still be able to finish off the spider next turn. Calling these things spiders a lot, but... Okay, I don't want this thing to crit, even if it does crit, he won't die. This is gonna sound kind of weird, but is it just me, or do the Gwilgies look more like 3-headed giant rats than dogs? Their heads just look, and their tail especially, look more rat-like than dog-like to me. That Cyclops, though. Okay. Well, good dodge there. Okay, now I need Mir and or Natasha to fight this Cyclops, because that is sheer amount of HP on this thing. 9 resistance is bad as well. Can you you can't really refresh it. But yeah, I kind of want to fight this thing with a combination of, well, effectiveness bonuses. Also, you have the Devil Axe, and you are a Sharp Spider. At least you barely have any chance of hitting Joshua. And Garrick has barely taken much damage, so... yeah, that's probably not the best option there. Just want to get rid of the spider. Yeah, as you can see, you get a lot of experience from this map. I need Natasha for lower down. Oh, I could just use the one-use thunder on this spider. There we go. Of course, if I'd missed that, she wouldn't have got another shot, because magic consumes use whether it hits or not. Okay, she kind of made up for not getting speed in one of those level ups. Medicine's Tome is pretty much fixed loose to the point where this is, like, she's got to where I expect she should be at this point in the game. I mean, the one shot there is tempting, but I kind of want to just kill off this Cyclops because it's just an enormous wall of big, blubbery HP, so... See, not even 2 hits from a legendary weapon that's effective against monsters will do it. Although that's not necessarily a horrible idea. I mean, I have to attack from there, otherwise Mia won't be able to get to it. Like I said, Cyclops is kind of a combination of monster berserkers and generals, because they are fairly tanky as well as very big, high HP classes that use axes. And there we go, that's gone. I'm hoping Mia will be able to get a bit more action here, if only to reduce the experience that everyone else is getting so they're not too over-leveled. And still more amazing level ups. But yeah, as you can see here, once Mia's defense gets going, she starts to become pretty much indestructible. We still need to watch out for archers, though. They still are a very, very bad thing for her to deal with. Speaking of bad things to deal with... not even with that. I wanted to... oh, that does exactly enough, but it's unreliable accuracy. Might as well just shine you, because I need to get rid of the archer, otherwise Mia is pretty much dead. And Natasha gets even more experience than usual, thanks to being a bishop. That's... I was wondering if that was our first capped promoted stat. It's not, but it is our first 30 stat, I think. But yeah, cap resistance. That actually may help a little bit later on. Normally she doesn't cap resistance this early. Normally she gets a little bit more of a balance of stats by now. 6 movement is not quite ridiculously insane. Is kind of a worry, though. Doesn't do as much as I was thinking it would, though. But I definitely need to kill this Gwilgi. It's a shame that Joshua can't double with against this thing, but I guess I'll... no crit. At least that missed. But yeah, I really do think they look a lot more like rats than dogs. 57 is my best hit rate. That's really not good, and I don't want to go for a 35. You have a vulnerary. Let's see how much damage you do. bit, and if this thing does die, then... Well, then I'll probably have to move to sell, but if it doesn't die, then that's where I might need to have him stay there and use a vulnerary or something. I hate how evasive these things are. Of course it would dodge. I only have 10 luck. I don't really know why they dodge so often. Thing does double Natasha, which is kind of a problem. And I'll probably equip that just in case the... I don't think the Devil Axe can even get to him, but still. Do I want it to attack Natasha? Like, there's a possibility that I actually want it to attack Natasha, because that way... But if she gets double... If she misses against it, she's probably gonna die, so I might rather just do this. I'll need to check how many monsters are left after this. 5. If that had hit, I would have been very, very angry. 70. Okay, at least you crit on the second hit. Slowly running out of that Shamshir, though. You can buy more on the post-game. In the post-game, the item stocks pretty much revert to how they were in the Japanese version in the secret shops. This is still kind of close, and that Gwilgi's lasted a lot longer than I hoped it would. Have we ever seen the Malzwin use, like, a non-hand axe before? Because, yeah, the giant gold-looking axes are kind of cool. Nothing else moved, okay. Okay, so we aren't even halfway done with the enemies, but we are mostly... Well, not mostly done. We're mostly done with the hard part of this. And, well, don't stand right next to him when he has the killer axe. That'd be a really dumb idea. Okay, but once we clean up these enemies, it should be a lot easier. I'll be able to lure all the archers, and then Mia will try and fly across the sea and maybe take out the Moguls. Yeah, it's now reversing between Ewan and Loot. Ewan is the one who's getting a bit more screwed now. I mean, Mia against that is not bad, but I need to have someone else kill the spider, otherwise bad things will happen. How much attack power do you have? 38 against Mia's. She's still got like a 27 resistance. And how much speed do they have? Not enough to double her. I pretty much want... Oh, that's not going to guarantee the spider's gone, so I have to do this then. Well, that is! Nice flute crit there. Okay, now Garrick is officially a bit too over-level compared to the rest of the party, so I might have to hold back on using him for a bit longer. I still don't like... He should actually have more strength in this, although I'm not entirely sure of his averages, but I guess these stats are pretty decent. I'll need to check his averages, like I said. That thing is pretty much Joshua with a bit lower luck and, actually less HP. I was expecting it to have more. Ewan actually needs the experience more, but I highly doubt he's going to hit that Gwilgi. I can at least try, but I highly doubt it's going to work. Yeah, 37 doesn't look like this will work. Yeah, no, thought as much. Let's see Mia, though. I mean, 61 is also kind of bad. And you do 9 damage on a crit. Even if you crit both of them, you wouldn't kill her. Okay, that hit. That's fine. This is a pretty good place to train Mia as well, because she one-shots most of the enemies, and everything here is going to give her a guaranteed level up. And there's plus 2 HP, which is pretty nice. Almost getting enough speed to actually not get doubled by things. Sometimes Mia has enough speed to, like, outright double enemies. When she does, that's when things start getting really, really fun. But for the most part, she usually doesn't. forgot there was one of you still here. Steel Lance, Horse Slayer, and a Steel Bow. Okay, you're gonna go around there. These things do all have lances. Don't really want Erica to get hit by all of those Crimson Eyes. And I don't want to support with Garrick, because that would stop Garrick from getting an A with Marissa. Okay, I need to remember that whoever goes in the upper path needs to have a Restore Staff user with them, because there's a Gorgon with Stone there. I think they'll be the first to lure him. Her. Pfft. That only applies to the censored version of Castle... I think one of the Castlevania games where they censored Medusa into a man. Which is pretty weird, but it actually happened. Okay, right below those forests, Luke can get hit by one of them and not the other one. Okay, Loot is the one with the Restore Staff, gotta remember that. Although I could just... Actually, I can't, because Erica doesn't have the convoy, she's not the main character on this route. So I can't exactly pull another one out of the convoy. Just gotta be careful, because there are a lot of high movement enemies up this top part of the map. There are a few Death Goyles still, and another Gwilgi, and quite a few more Malduins. What do you guys steal? Killer and Killer. Killer bows aren't that strong when they're not, when you're not doing much damage in a regular attack to the point where a critical won't really do much more. My plan is to have Mia fly over the mountain after these archers are dealt with. Yeah, they really did put a lot of archers on these maps just to make Mia a lot more risky to use. I suppose Teddies could go this way. Yeah, pretty much everything up here is Moguls. Or Arch-Moguls. Yeah, we're finally seeing the upgraded versions. Thankfully none of them here have Shadow Shot. They can spawn with that, but we're not seeing it in this particular iteration of this skirmish. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are fixed patterns to every skirmish that can possibly... I know that there are fixed patterns to the Tower of Valmy floors, in terms of which enemies drop items and things like that, but here there might be a couple of fixed sets of enemies that can show up here. Just realised that Lute's the only healer on this one, which means that if she gets hit, there's no one really here to heal her. I mean, like, going this part of the map. Still getting a lot of experience from these kills, though. Actually, would she have... No, if she get hit by both of those 16, she would have survived with 1 HP. That's the second 80 that you've missed. And Joshua is still poisoned. How long do you have to go? One more turn of poison. Which I think means you get cured on the next turn. Alright, that space is potential archer. And I'm not putting Erica there. Right. Good to know. Definitely not putting Erica there. Although Erica could... No, not doing that either. I don't really want Luke to lure two things at once because she could potentially die. Okay, she didn't miss another 85. There must be some areas that I can lure one of those archers from without affecting one of the other archers. Okay, so that archer can go, yeah, definitely. But first I need to lure that thing, which... With the Horse Slayer on Erica is going to be... I probably should have thought this through a little bit better. Maybe... Let's see if I can send Mia back in that direction. Because Mia against the Horse Slayer guy is pretty much fine. How much uses does a Dragonstone have left? I need to pay attention to that, because I might want to be using her in the Ruins run later on. Okay, so that's the Killer Bow guy. get the feeling that I'll be provoking a lot of enemies the moment that I provoke one of them, but I might as well start now. Gonna need a new hand axe soon, though. And there's much less defensive terrain around here. Okay, I doubt that hit is going to affect much. But this is why I had the hand. Okay, that's a crit. So that's our first monster crit of this playthrough, actually. Yeah, the skeleton crits are kind of funny. They just, like, teeth-chatteringly laugh at you. Okay, you were the only one to move. That's good. Okay, alternatively, Luke can just run up and destroy that one outright, but that would cause her to get attacked by 2 archers. Okay, yeah, that spot is safe from the archers, so I can lure this one in peace. I think it's safe to go right next to you as well. But yeah, like I said, that would be the first monster crit we've seen. I have mentioned the gargoyle crit earlier, which is pretty terrifying. They sort of scream at you, and the spiders do something similar as well. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, but yeah, that killer bow archer needs to... Does that... Okay, yeah, the one here has another killer bow. Okay, yeah, the Gorgon can't get within range. And there is another archer there. Oh, don't even need to use the killing weapons. I was about to say watch me get a crit anyway, but the game instantly proved me wrong. Still a lot more experience from these enemies. Yeah, now these characters are... I mean, that doesn't quite make up for those earlier really bad levels, but that was a much better level. Like, if he gained skill and speed at all of these levels, he'd have a lot more by now. Now, I do also want to hold off on using Garrick a bit here, but he is one of my more tanky characters. He's only got 1 defense less than Decel. I might need Teddy's up here. Yeah, nothing, which is kind of what I thought. Oh, I was hoping for a crit there. 21 critical had a pretty high chance of doing that. Mia's crit is pretty awesome. It's not really, really awesome looking, but it's still kind of nice. I haven't really commented on how I think Mia looks in her dragon form. I mean, this was the first Manakete most... Well, used to be the first Manakete most Western players of the series had seen, but these days I'd probably wager there are more people who came in with Awakening than with these games. But still, she was the first... one of the first Manaketes that we've actually seen, and her dragon form looks pretty awesome. It's a pretty standard dragon form, but it still looks pretty cool. And it's nowhere near as weird as Faye from F-A-E, not F-A-Y-E. Fa in Japanese, from FE6, who looks pretty hilarious because her dragon form looks more like a goose. And I guess you could call it Mega Ultra Chicken, kind of, but I always called her the Goose Dragon. What? Okay, luring you, Erica's staying back here, luring the Moguls. Yeah, this is about the point where we just slowly lure the enemies in one by one. There's the killer weapon. There's another Gwildy up there. Longbow. It's kind of interesting that you see one of the Malduins carry one of those. This isn't like... There are some Fire Emblem games that forbid mounted classes from using longbows. Radiant Dawn being one of the few games in the series I find where mounted archers are actually worse than foot archers because of, well, a few restrictions. It's not actually the lack of longbows, it's more the lack of crossbows, which are amazing, and also the lack of critical bonus, and snipers, when they promote to marksman, getting the option of having 3 range at a really negligible cost to accuracy, which doesn't mean anything because their accuracy stats are so high, it doesn't matter. Oh, I thought she was going to get hit sooner or later. I have a vulnerary and an elixir over here, I'm probably okay. And there's another crit, which is probably due to the monsters in general having really low luck stats. I mean, this isn't one of those games where all enemies in the game have 0 luck. That's a lot more than I was expecting. Please don't critical. I think you're only going to get 1 attack, though. But yeah, that's Crimson Eye. It looks pretty intimidating. Not quite as intimidating as Shadow Shot looks like when it actually hits you. Okay, I need... Oh, I'm the one who doubles them. Okay. But I probably should have checked the damage numbers more. And that's Mia's critical. She just roars. But I still think it's pretty cool. Yeah, that is the issue with Mia, though. Although her initial resistance is, like, with the plus 20 bonus is pretty good, her resistance does not gain that much on level ups. We haven't even gone through 10 uses of the Dragonstone, and she's already at almost half of her levels. So she does pretty much have plenty of uses on that thing. Ah, hello, Sneaky Archer. Yeah, I can't lure you from the forests, can I? Oh, you do have a vulnerary still. I forget if that's probably not the one that you joined with, but it will do. I just need a little bit of healing. 19 enemies to go. And it will probably soon be 18. I've got to watch out for the other killer bow guy. Can you... No. If you double with Nosferatu, that would do it, but you sadly do not double with Nosferatu. And, okay, that's not the bow range just yet. So, I can poke you first and then have you and hopefully finish you. Sorry about this being kind of slow at this point, but I'd rather be cautious here now that I've got past that initial rush of enemies. Don't want to be losing all of these level ups. Okay, that's another one gone. And soon we'll have more defensive terrain to utilize. Except then we have to deal with even more spiders, one of them which has a stealable item, pure water. Which I just realized I've never used any pure water this entire playthrough. Which is kinda typical. I don't know. I've never really found pure water to deal. It's useful sometimes, and I'm sure there are a couple of low turn count strategies that require someone to have just a little bit more resistance than they normally do, so the pure water will be useful there, but in general, I just find if I'm gonna have somebody attacking / luring mages, I'm gonna use somebody who doesn't have crap resistance, so usually I don't find... Anyway. I mean, even those Berserk Staff Druids, they've got so much magic that even with a little bit more resistance, you probably still get hit by them most of the time. Now, is this going to provoke a giant deluge of enemies? Let's see. Doesn't look like it. And I am fine with that. Wow, loot is just critting all over the place now. Yeah, that stage critical, I probably saw it for the most part with Pent back in FE7 chapter, whichever the chapter was with, I keep wanting to call it Arcadia, but that's the FE6 desert chapter. The one in FE7 is Living Legend, I believe. The one where Pent murders everything is what the chapter is really called. 19 resistance. Okay, gotta watch out, there are even more of them up here. I mean, they do have weapon triangle advantage, but it doesn't. With 39 attack power, though, that is very, very strong. Even 19 resistance is not really that great against that. I should have been using Natasha down here, shouldn't I? Yeah, I really should have used Natasha. I guess it's a bit late now. It's not like I can... If I had a flyer, I could carry her over that mountain, but I decided all of my flyers were too over-leveled, and so didn't bring them. Well, the good thing about Mia is that her HP is so low that vulneraries usually heal off all the damage that she takes. Don't really need to use that elixir just yet. Okay, I will provoke the Gwilgi if I attack that thing at melee range. Thankfully, I won't provoke the Gorgon. In fact, I probably... Wow, 26 speed. I don't want to miss this, but I will go for it nonetheless. Okay, good. Didn't tempt fate. Because Ewan definitely needs more in the way of experience here. I feel like on average he should be having more luck than this. All of the trainees pretty much excel in luck, but Ewan tends to have the best luck of all of them. He should have higher luck than this by now. Alright, now I'm luring the Gwilgi, so the only one who's not going to get doubled is Joshua. Oh, wait a minute, you also have a longbow. You're the boss who has a longbow. 13, yeah, you're not doubling Ewan. Maybe I shouldn't lure that Gwilgi just yet, because it looks like I just provoked the boss. Unless the boss doesn't move. Not really sure how these skirmish bosses tend to go, but... I mean, often they do move. Don't want to support either. Only 16 enemies to go, though. Is the boss going to move? Let's see. He doesn't look like he's moving. Yeah, that is very, very strong. I forgot that these moguls could reach magic stats this high. Another loot crit! She's really wanting to make up for how much she sucked earlier in the game. But she's not really gaining as much experience as she did before. Okay, yeah, I really, really, really need Natasha over that part of the map. Let's see if I can... Yeah, Giselle's not really going to be able to get her there because he doesn't have that much movement for a mounted character. The boss doesn't seem to be moving, so... I probably do need to lure this Gwilgi on my own. They tend to have pretty high crit rates as well. Joshua is almost full HP. Like, as you can see here, his HP is very, very high by Swordmaster standards. You don't normally see Swordmasters with this much HP. And I'm not gonna... If he wants to attack, he's gonna have to attack from a normal plane, which is good. Could actually just heal Joshua for an extra couple of HP, which might make all the difference, so... Guess I'm gonna do that. Slowly luring these remaining enemies. Alright, speaking of slow... Yeah, Mia turned out to be nowhere near as helpful against these moguls as I thought she would be, so it's time for Natasha. Using command on 1 HP, but I guess every bit counts. I wanted Erica to get a bit more experience here, but it just... Everything is just kind of too risky. That's a good sign, but that's not going to do it. Almost did, though. And yeah, at this point, the enemies only seem to move if you go in their range, but we're approaching a point where we might end up in the range of a lot of things. And that Gorgon right there, I really, really don't want it to hit anyone with stone while we're in the middle of a horde of other enemies, because that would be lethal with all of these criticals. So let me do this quickly. So that's 14 and you're only getting hit once. Garrett takes 10 twice. Yeah, another one of the weird cases where Swordmasters are actually tankier than other enemies, thanks to the fact that... I'm still having terrible hit rates against you, but thanks to the fact that they don't get doubled. It's always been the issue with generals, is that despite their really good defense, they often take more damage than other classes do because they get doubled, and like getting hit twice for 10, as you can see there, is better than getting hit once for 17. C in Anima, not the best. I mean, he's probably going to use Fimbulverter better than Loot would, but that would require him to get all the way up to A. Okay, this guy... The Gorgon doesn't have range there. The problem is that if I do, yeah, you go there, and then I can't even fight you without luring a ton of other things. I think everyone's going to stay where they are up here for the moment, because I want to lure that Gorgon with Natasha. I don't think she'd get hit. I really should have put Natasha on that side from the start, but, anyway...